Well, hello there, everybody. How are you all doing today? I am doing just swell, kind of. The weather's nice, it's peaceful. I'm walking through a very nice neighborhood. I've got this gorgeous light fixture along the street there that seems to kind of stand all by its own, but my right ankle's hurting a bit. So I'm doing like 85% well aside from that, but for your sake being here with me, it's April 20th, 2021. You know what that means. It is another day and another story. What the hell is going on over here? Today's story is one of the most hilariously ridiculous things I've ever heard in my life, and it takes us back to the 1940s, 1946 specifically, and the small town of Huron, South Dakota. Now, why do I say small town, Huron, South Dakota? Because it's South Dakota, so I mean 90% odds I'm right about it being a small town. And that is not poking fun at South Dakota. I'm just saying there's not really a lot of big towns there. And this is a classic example of the experiences that happen after the passing of eccentric businessmen. You know how some of these guys that, usually hit it pretty good and have, a lot of money and stuff to leave behind when they die, they'll have these kind of bizarre requests for after their passing, and it's just very intriguing and strange. But usually it's like, okay, you do this little thing, you do that little thing, and then it's like you divvy up the assets, and still like the situation gets handled, and you pay your respects and you move on with your life. Well, in this case, we've got a South Dakota businessman named C.C. Richardson, who had just passed, and he'd reportedly spent the last couple years of his life in a tuberculosis sanitarium. Now, I don't know if that's just the term they give for a tuberculosis hospital, because a sanitarium, it has a little bit of a different, there's a tuberculosis hospital. You get tuberculosis, you go there. But a sanitarium is usually where you go to or are sent to when it's deemed you're not quite all there for whatever circumstances. You have a genuine, bona fide mental disorder. You had an accident that has led to you to having, there was a lot of reasons people gave. Some people got put in, way back in the day, some people got put in sanitariums and asylums for being homosexuals, for being alcoholics. Like, there was a lot of bizarre reasons why people were put in but still, usually a sanitarium was a place you went, if you had some issues. So I don't know if they were just using that word in reference to the tuberculosis hospital, which really doesn't make a lot of sense, or if it's like a place that you actually sent people who had both tuberculosis and mental issues. I guess I could see that existing. I don't know if it did. If it did, you tell me, you let me know. And I just splattered water on the back of my leg. But anyway, as my story continues, I'm gonna go down one of these sketchy little alleyways that kind of pepper through the Montevilla neighborhood up here. I always get the feeling locals don't like it when you walk through here, because it's almost like you're walking through their backyard, but whatever, it's open to me doing this anyway. I just love the random alleyways that still pop up in the Portland area. So C.C. Richardson, after a couple of years in a tuberculosis sanitarium, finally passes. So as he passes, the time comes to read his will, bear out what his last wishes were, who's going to get what. And other than a small microscopic amount of his assets or finances that went to other things. They aren't stipulated what they went to, but pretty much all of his estate, which added up to something in the realm of $50,000, which is, that's a decent chunk of change back in the 1940s. I'm sure there are other businessmen that had a lot more money to their name when they passed away, but this was still a pretty good chunk of change. But here's the thing is, Richardson did not, decide to spread this wealth amongst his family, whoever that may have been. He didn't, leave this much to his children, leave this much to his grandchildren, give this item to his friend because his friend always loved it so much, that kind of stuff. Richardson decided in his will to leave pretty much all of his wealth that was still behind after his death to potentially a complete stranger, because there was one stipulation you had to achieve in order to get all of his remaining wealth. Richardson was going to leave this wealth to whomever, could have been a complete stranger who he'd never met before, whomever essentially could best provide a best definition for what a joke is. Now, that's how it was represented in the newspapers, but the actual overarching expectation in terms of what he wanted was actually bore out in his actual full question was published in the article, and it's written in a very olden style. I couldn't memorize it all right now unless I had 30 minutes to read it over and over again. So I'm just gonna put the question up here on the screen for you, the full written question, because it actually went beyond just who can best define a joke. It got exponentially larger than that. It was biblical. It was questioning the origin of the world. Like, this guy went deep, and yet it tied in to the notion of a joke, that which someone can tell and make the others around them chuckle. Anyway, here's the full question he posed. Yeah, so he got real deep with it. It was more than just defining what a joke is. I don't know if I'd know how to answer that joke. It seems like this joke was probably formulated in a fairly detached state of mind, because I don't even know if I agree with because it wasn't like a, what do you think about this? It was like a, how are these definitive things, true? And it's like, well, I don't know if I agree with what you say is definitive in your question. And here's the most interesting thing is, someone is supposed to be able to best answer this question you put forward. But whoever gave the best answer to that question, what qualified as the best answer, would be subject to C.C. Richardson's perspective. But he's dead. So how is he going to determine who gives the best response to that? Did he tell random people he knew, the best answer is approximately this, and whoever gets the closest to that is right? Or did he write the answer down and leave it on a paper to go with the will, so that anybody who comes forward to answer the question, they'll have the answer there on paper and be just like, nah, you weren't even freaking close, dude. Quit wasting our time. Be gone with you. It had to be something like that, because how could anyone decide, besides the guy who's already dead, what the best answer is? So, good on this guy for going the extra step and saying, when I go out, we're not just going to have your run-of-the-mill table reading of my will, divvy stuff out, and then that's it. I'm gonna go way over everybody's head, and for all we know, because again, this decision about how to give away most of his wealth was probably, you know, the results of, you know, a mind that wasn't functioning fully or properly. So, for all we know, it could have just been a big joke. Maybe there was no right answer, and the money was just gonna sit there forever. But still, you know, good on C.C. Richardson for trying something new, whatever his motives were. And of course, his son, Clarence Richardson, who according to the news article, he left $50 to. Again, maybe the result of some, you know, mental issues, either that or he really just didn't like his son very much. So of course, I mean, under these circumstances, you would expect this. His son came forward to contest the validity of the will, and he maybe had a case, you know, if his dad had spent so much time in a sanitarium, but not just that he spent so much time in a sanitarium, but also like, especially during that time, and really, you know, most times, but especially during that time, someone would look at the oddness, is oddness even a word? The oddities of this whole situation, this whole will, the expectations of the deceased, and probably want to reach the conclusion that, yeah, this guy maybe wasn't all there. So, I don't know, maybe his son, you know, won some of that money. It'd suck if you were the guy that got the right answer and they're like, all right, you got $50,000 coming your way, and then everything gets flipped and they reverse all that, and then right as you're about to get the money, they just give it to his son, and it's like, oh, you bastard, why are you entitled to the money? Oh, just because he was your dad. I don't know. I didn't really care about what the resolution was. I liked the question that I don't think anybody could really fully answer. But it was fun. And that's really what a lot of these stories are about for the most part. Is about finding strange, quirky things that you can have a little fun with in the retelling of them, stories lost in time. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoy this series. I hope you enjoy everything that's happening. And remember, as always, to like, share, subscribe, hit up my Patreon, various methods to help my little channel blossom and grow. And you can hit up my Patreon at the link in the description below. I'm always posting new stuff there to give you bang for your buck. And also the links to my Instagram and Facebook pages are also in the description below, closely related to the content I'm posting both here, as well as my primary channel, Steve the Amateur Historian. If you haven't gone there and subscribed, go and do it. If you're into history and all that good stuff, if you like this channel, you'll love that channel. Whew. And so all that said, I'd like to thank you once more from the heart. This car is going to ruin my heartfelt ending. But anyway, seriously, one more time, from the heart. Now this car is going to ruin my ending. No, I can't end the video. I won't end the video. What? How did this side street suddenly become a highway? Okay. Once more from the heart, I thank you for watching. This has been Steve, and I'll see you tomorrow.